Well, okay, so we were kind of ranting again earlier. I was talking about how because after ranting on this, of course, like, I see, okay, people like what I'm saying. Let's actually dive deeper into what it is I'm feeling and what is it I'm trying to actually argue here. And so far, where my brain is at is, I feel like it's obvious that a lot of people are just taking out their anger on GGG for abandoning PoE1, and they're taking it out on PoE2. There's a lot of that, and I don't think that issue, which is a major issue, I still don't think that excuses the behavior of the PoE community taking out their angst on that. So, yeah, it's two things. One, people failing to check their drama at the door for a totally different separate issue, which some of them feel like is not a totally separate issue because they think that they have a kind of a scorched earth attitude about, like, well, we'll bring the whole house down then if they're gonna keep diverting resources away from the game I love, and they just keep putting in PoE2, then bring the whole house down because, fuck everyone and everything. They need to learn their lesson, and everyone can just burn for it. There's honestly some people with that attitude. I saw some of that sentiment in the comment section where I was continued to debate some people, and that's really unfortunate that there's that. That's actually a smaller part, I think. But the bigger problem, I feel, is the PoE1 brain rot, where people are playing this game through the lens of their PoE1 experience. Like, deeply so. Like, obviously you can't completely divorce your experience and your memory of PoE1 from your mind when you play this game, of course. But when they look at this game, they see less loot is dropping. Less loot is dropping. As opposed to what? As opposed to the experience you have in PoE1. But I asked the question, why are you experiencing PoE1 perception when you're playing this game? Stop it. Stop doing that. And then, like, so that's one thing. That's like on loot. Difficulty. They said, I mean, these are all things that they've said in interviews time and time again. They said, we're making the game more difficult. Bosses are actually going to have mechanics that are going to matter. We don't want people to be so easily just like one-shot bosses. We want to give people tools to do different cool things with, like, combat and feel rewarded in, like, comboing things, which inherently means you're probably not one-shotting everything all the time. Except maybe at, like, super high gear levels like what I'm at currently. But certainly in, like, the campaign and early maps and even, like, kind of getting through the end game. It's supposed to be more methodical, more engaging combat, and the decisions you make with the gear and the choices and combinations, and even things as simple as, like, these points, stalk and leap. You're encouraged to use two separate skills, a melee skill and a projectile skill. How do you do that? How do you integrate that into combat? Well, you got to think about it. You got to think, what skill do I want to pair with? What skill do I want to use, and what skill should I pair with it to make it good? Should I include Ice Bite in there? Should I include Innervate in there? Should I, use those supports that also pair up with this, with, more melee damage, 25% more, pursuit and retreat supports. Do I throw those in there? Like, oh, there's an opportunity to double down on that concept, right? And this is just one tiny little thing, but it's just something neat that came with the Amazon class. And I really dig it. Like, it really promotes the in and out, melee, projectile, or like projectile in melee range. I love that sort of dynamic. And it's so very different than the way that we approach building a character in PoE2, or PoE1, because if we approached building a character in PoE1, we'd be looking at things like cast on crit, looking real hard into, like, making that work, and Mana Forge arrows and ward loop, and we'd be trying to automate as much as we could. We'd be, like, slamming as much automation into, literally, like, automation support and stuff. We'd be slamming as much automation into all of our links as we could, so we could press the fewest number of buttons to make the most amount of things happen, and kind of just crush the game, just one shot, clear full screens, move really fast, Quicksilver, all that. But that's not at all what this game is. It's not even close. Like, there's no Mana Forge arrows, no crazy automation. There's some automation, but it's huge price and spirit and that sort of thing. Like, cast on crit's 100 spirit, and you can only fit so many things in there. And you're not typically automating like your primary damage ability in there. And so yeah, I just feel like people are like holding on to the memory, the perception of playing PoE1 when they play PoE2. And so they judge the game so harshly through that lens. And they don't even realize it. They don't even realize that, like, oh, it took me 20 hours to go through the campaign. This is terrible. Like, terrible. Why? It's terrible because it takes you 5 hours to go through the campaign in PoE1. So you're like, it takes me 4 times as long to go through the whole time. They're like, I'm spending way too much time in this zone, way too much time in this zone. I would have gotten through this zone 5 times if this was the other game. These are the things that's like running in the back of their subconscious when they're playing the game. I just wish people would stop looking at it through that lens, especially in early access, especially when there's so many things. Like, here's what people should be doing. People should be not racing, obviously, at this point. That's like the last thing you should do in this game at this state of the game. You should not be trying to race the end game. You should be trying to experience the game for the first, second, third, fourth, fifth time, trying to use different classes, different ascendancies, brand new things you've never done, skills you've never done, gameplay, game style you've never done, combat interaction you've never had, face bosses in different ways that you've never done, and you should revel in all of that. Like, enjoy the journey. People keep forgetting that. I have to keep reminding them of the phrase. It's all about the journey. What else is there? Especially in a brand new game. And I say that as somebody who leans very heavily toward the competitive nature of ARPGs, which are not innately competitive, but they have a lot of competitive social elements to them, such as, rushing through the campaign or being the first to do this or that or stuff. I get it. But this is the wrong time and place to have that mindset and that approach. You mean you take people who are used to power creep and speed and almost force them to play a game they've taken resources and barely support. People also view their favorite streamer shout negatively about 24/7. There will be some bias ultimately. Well, sure. I understand it's incredibly difficult. I mean, this is one of the primary reasons they made a new game, is to get off of the runaway train that is the PoE1 Excess Express. Okay, that's what PoE1 is. The devs, it's out of control. The game's out of control. So the devs want to make a new game, reset the power creep to a level that is way below what PoE1 is. That is done deliberately. They said they want to make players contend with the game, actually engage with it, make interesting choices, decisions, multiple abilities. One-button builds still exist, but should inherently be inferior to a well-constructed, well-put-together, multifaceted, multi-button build. Of course it should be that way. I thought you liked PoE1. That's just a thing I do. I like it for what it is. But I like this too. And maybe at some point I will actually be ready to judge them side by side, but not right now, not yet. It feels good to go as fast as I can in a game that has slowed me down a great deal. It means I can have my cake and eat it too. It means I have the luxury of min-maxing a character as hard as I can while still actually engaging with the content and not just pressing a red nuclear button on my keyboard that just destroys everything instantly. Can you guys believe it? I love that. Am I the only one who likes that? Am I the only one who likes min-maxing, but not utterly annihilating, phone game meme-worthy combat? I can't be the only one who feels that way. Guess we're on a mission to make a bunch of YouTube rant videos. Yeah. Sometimes I think a lot of it's weird to me because it feels like a lot of the PoE1 Zoomers and blasters, people like me, a lot of them seem to think that it's impossible to be one of these types of people, like a Zoomer and blaster. It's impossible to be that type of player and to also appreciate the slowing down, the more methodical gameplay. They just can't seem to reconcile it, that somebody like me even exists who feels this way. I don't think they have any response to it because they're like, because you know they'll just, you know, it's so easy to like shit on a noob or a casual for like liking a slower game. Oh, of course you like a slower game. You're a fucking noob. Duh. Yeah, you don't know what it's like to play at the highest level. You haven't had the privilege to, you know, destroy the content and just delete stuff and have fun and get crazy amounts of loot. Well, guess what? I have had that privilege in spades, and I still think it's great to, you know, to slow down, stay a while and listen or whatever. Well, however that saying goes. Your gameplay right now is not real slow. Well, you know what? If you actually look at it objectively, in the context of a build that I make in PoE1, for the same amount of time that I've played, which is like well over 100 playing hours, this build actually is pretty slow right now. This ain't no mirror tier tornado shot build, I'll tell you that. Okay, we're not playing that game right here. But sure, I mean the dopamine receptors are resetting here, and it allows me to feel like I'm moving faster than I might otherwise, because over time, as I'm playing this game more, I become more and more forgetful of the pace of PoE1 because it's getting further and further out of reach. And I don't miss it. Probably a good thing.